Multi-Flora rose in use for Floyd County fences. And this was an article in 1952. And this is before my time, but I've never seen these type of wild roses used for fences here. But on a lot of the old home places, you can see remnants of them. But I'm going to read the article about the different types of fences and stuff and what made them go to maybe using a rose fence. But times do change indeed. Once upon a time, not too long ago, our fathers built stake and rider fences. Those fences had probably more wood or timber in them than any other kind of fence ever built. But the ample oak timber necessary to construct such a fence became scarcer, and farmers built paling fences in Floyd County. Finding this was the most uneconomical fence ever built, they at last came to use wire and locust posts. That is the fence history. A new chapter is the use of roses for a living fence. Yes, roses, the Multi-Flora rose. Its use began some years ago as an experiment in fencing, perhaps as the American variant of the English hedge fence. Today its use as fencing has spread to every part of the United States where it will grow. The idea is so radical, especially in this country, that its practicality will be in question here. Were it not that such a staid and respectable group, such as the Soil Conservation District, supervisors of this county are interested in it. Several people have started such fences. Alex Spradlin, Gail Music, J.B. Clark, J.C. Moore, Webster Akers, Lonnie Hall, Woodrow Burchett, and others. The farmers mentioned planting the fences this spring. 1,000 plants set a foot apart make 1,000 feet of fence. Some have planted 2,000 feet of plants. Wallace Anderson and Frank Edminster, biologists for the Soil Conservation Service, have jointly issued a bulletin called Multi-Flora Rose for Living Fences and Wildlife Cover. They say living fences of multifloral roses are used on more American farms every year. Only recently have farmers come to realize the many advantages of the plant. Chief among these is the fact that they will make a living fence that will keep your livestock and your soil in boundaries. It also is the least expensive fence that you can establish and the cheapest to maintain. 1,000 plants will give you 1,000 feet of living fence, as compared with the usual fence. A living fence of multiflora rose is a thing of lasting beauty. And I can imagine how it looked. In the spring it carries masses of white blossoms. In the winter its red fruits, called rose hips, brighten the fields. Unlike fences that must be repaired or replaced, multifloral rose fences last a lifetime and will continue to serve your children. You can see by this plug that the Soil Conservation Service is an advocate of living rose fences. So enthusiastic are they that they will procure the plants, not cuttings, from the Fish and Game Commission and supply them to you for free. Of course, the Fish and Game Commission is interested because the fences make excellent cover for game. Quail use the living fence of roses for cover. Here in the prickly cover, the fox will not attempt to enter in the quest of game. So the Game Commission, interested in game protection, is willing to furnish the plants free of charge to those farmers who will plant them under the supervision of the Soil Conservation Service. L.R. Johnson of SGS, who came to Floyd County from Fleming, says the biggest use of Multi-Flora rose he ever saw was by a former Floyd Countyan, J.F. Hall, who moved here to Fleming County several years ago. Hall built a farm pond of approximately 3 acres, some 20 feet deep. This was 11 years ago, and this was 1952, about the time the Soil Conservation Service started advocating rows for fences. The large amount of soil thrown up from the huge excavation was in process of eroding away. Its erosion would eventually destroy the pond. So the excavated soil was planted in Multi-Flora roses. The protection afforded was complete. One soil conservationist said that this was one of the best examples in the state of erosion control by Multi-Flora roses. So roses has a multitude of uses: living fence, gully control, and the soil conservation men say highway beautification. Highway plantings give erosion control and a beautiful covering for an otherwise ugly spot. One yellow iris coming up out of the whole bunch. And a few purple. They're too deep in the ground. And if you don't get the bulbs, if they get too deep, they won't bloom. All you'll get's that right there. You won't get a bloom. So these need to be dug up and redone. What I really wanted to look at was these wild roses. I call them dog roses. Oh. They're so fragrant. And they are invasive. They will take over, but they're pretty when they do bloom. And it says in the old newspapers that some of the farmers started to make hedgerows out of these because the oak trees started to be less and less plentiful. So they had to come up with something else for fences. And if there's a locust, well, it's not a locust tree. It's a formosus tree. I was looking at a locust there for a minute. And they will spread. They're invasive. These kind are the prettiest. Too bad they only bloom once a year. And they're very fragrant. And a weeping willow tree. Let's sit under the weeping willow. Isn't that what they say? There's Orange Creek. Talking about the Orange Creeks in West Virginia in the news. Well, this is like this all my life. So we have acid mine drainage water forever up in this holler. Right here in eastern Kentucky. It's so cool under there. There's a creek. There are a few minnows and crawdads that actually live in it. But they didn't a long time ago. There are hummingbirds somewhere. Probably in the blackberry blooms. Or baby birds or something. A yelping. Back out. A little cool breeze going. See some jewelry in there. Okay, now we're going to try to find a locust tree sprout or sapling. And here's some of those roses growing right next in the creek. And of course, traffic. There's some red clover growing. Supposed to be able to make good tea out of that. And we have a mixture. Some of this is blackberries, and some of these are these wild roses in with them. There's a locust. And that's what they would make fence posts out of these. When they get big trees. And the blooms, the bees love them and they smell good. That and the poplar tree, they'd make fence posts out of them, and sometimes, you know what would happen? They would bloom. They'd start sprouting a tree. They'd start growing into a tree again. This looks like blackberry. And there's honeysuckle in here too. Let's look for that little sapling. Look at this. It's huge. Lots of jewelweed. And I got the bear's mess cleaned up. You saw me picking through. Some more red clover. It looks purple to me, but I'm glad he didn't come back last night. And there's the locust tree trying to come back. Right next to this big boulder. And more traffic. There's some elderberry growing in that. There's some, gosh, oh, that's big burdock. I bet the root on that is big as yarn. Could use some elderberry right now. When the bear strikes you. Garbage box. That thing made a mess. It turned it over. You can see these paw prints. The sand here. Some more paw prints. But he's getting on my last nerve with this garbage business. There's some more paw prints where he turned it over. Crazy bird. Leaving me with his mess to clean up. He could have been nice enough to clean up his own mess. And this was over here. Looks like I'm gonna have to. Here's these remnants of him scooting this thing. Made marks in the blacktop. Oops. So, I have to build a better garbage box, it looks like. All the damage he's done. Like their neighbors are scared by it too. Makes 2 nights in a row. Mr. Bear has made his appearance. I wonder if he drug anything in the creek. Ouch. I better be careful, he still might be over in here. Then again, he could have went on up the holler to see if he could work on the neighbors' garbage. But I have more. As you can see, I got more mess to clean up. Another bag. Let's see what else he's done.